Oh, ah, ah. Hello. Let's watch Michael Tracy. What the hell? No. Wrong. Not what we're talking about. Let's see. Okay, you guys. Okay. There we go. Let's watch this first. But, hey, oh yeah. Sorry. I'm supposed to say welcome. What is it again? Welcome, Earthlings. Welcome, Earthlings. This is Piero 314. I am broadcasting, as it happens worldwide, in search of like minds. Like minds like you. From the soon-to-be frozen state of Maine. Winter is coming. Boats are in. Let's not even go into that. Now, via the McWCAM broadcasting platform, high in the stratosphere, located at midnight. Welcome. Is that showy? That's good, right? That's what I'm supposed to do, right? All right, let's watch this Majority Report video. I haven't seen. Let's put it at 1.5. You know, because we're impatient. It's the 21st fucking century.
Folks, for you at home, we have the opportunity to see a real reporter in action. Michael Tracy has done, and full disclosure, I went to Connecticut College for college.
Sure.
Low-key flex.
Kind of fast, right?
Time for another gun out.
Yeah, there we go.
To flex on him.
Please no, please no, please no.
Oops. Let's see if we can do this 1.25, because that's...
Connecticut College, the story is this, that Michael Tracy did some deep dive and found out that when students came to the Connecticut College campus, there's about 1,600 kids, students who go to Connecticut College, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's 1,800.
So small.
It's so small, but it was smaller than my high school.
Wow.
My public high school was something like 2,200 kids,
wow.
Or something in Worcester. And when they came back, you needed to be have a vaccine, like many of these colleges, and they did testing. And they did, apparently, according to Michael Tracy, too rigorous or too uptight of testing. And they found that there were 50 infections. Now, people can do the math. That's, I don't know, several percentage points infected in the first couple of days. And so they did basically a lockdown, a quarantine. People are going to stay in the dorms. You can obviously come out and eat. And at Connecticut College, a lot of the dorms have cafeterias. Or at least they did. I presume many of them still do. So they wanted basically people not to go to classes. I think there was a lot of like Zoom classes for, you ready for this? 10 days. Now, if you have been to school or work in the past, you know that over the course of 10 days, you don't have 10 class days because they only do it during school days. So you're talking about there'll be 7 school days where you're in lockdown with a Zoom. And the college now is extremely expensive. It's like, as far as I can tell, 6 times more expensive than when I went, maybe 7 times, which is consistent with what's happening with student debt. So Michael Tracy got many emails and messages from students that they were upset about this.
You know, this 10-day quarantine, they did that on The Bachelor, too. Maybe he should storm the set next time to see if any of the contestants are...
And he announced on a Substack that he would be going up there to investigate because, and this is how you do reporting, folks. This is good for you Cub reporters out there. When you go to report on something, always bring your karaoke machine so that you can announce that you've arrived. Play this clip.
I might still be a monster, but I'm an evolving monster.
What I was about to say is, the main reason, just to reiterate, the main reason I'm here is not because I have any particular interest in what goes on at a small liberal arts college in Connecticut that I've never been to. It's because I've gotten so many, dozens of messages, phone calls, texts from people who have strong criticisms of the policy that you're all now subject to, but say unanimously that they cannot voice them in public because if they do, they will be subject to disciplinary action, they will be subject to social repercussions, they will face problems with their athletic programs, and on and on and on. So if you're not aware of that sentiment existing on the campus around you, maybe you ought to be a little bit more aware, because I don't think it's good for anyone, whether you support the policies or oppose them, if there's this climate of conformity where if you transgress, then you're subject to, disciplinary action and possibly expulsion.
Great reporting.
Why? Because they cannot speak on their own behalf. Hold on. No. I'll define for myself, thank you, what my job as a journalist is.
Is this for a Fox News?
I don't think you're...
He wants a Fox News.
He wants a piece on the New York Post.
He's not going to get it.
I go on. I was on a left-wing podcast. I was on a left-wing show.
I'm cool, I'm famous. I was on a podcast.
I do what everybody wants to
gather attention from you.
I talked to you for about an hour. How about that?
Here's the best part. Listen to it.
Now, please, leave this campus. Get off. Please, we do not want you.
One word, okay. One word on here
Pause it for 1 second. Pause it. So he's asked now. Now remember, the premise of this is that he is up there because there is such a climate of fear on the campus that supposedly you're going to be subject to disciplinary action
and social repercussions
and some vague social repercussions if you speak out about the lockdown. Now this is just absurd. This is just absurd. Now I don't know if it's still the case, but when I was there, it was an all student run honor code. It was one of the few colleges in the country that had one where the administration had no say in the adjudication and the meting out of punishment for just about every possible infraction, ranging from cheating to anything else. And it is the idea that there is something in the honor code about speaking out against COVID restrictions is just very hard to believe. Now, what social...
Did he study the honor code at Connecticut College?
He sort of vaguely referenced it in the Substack.
That's
and then the idea like social repercussions, like people go like, dude, just chill, is like, I'm sorry.
Well,
like,
there's social repercussions for him being there. We can't bury this later in the segment. We have to show this interaction.
Well, we will show that. But it is like, where are the dozens of people? I mean, dozens means like 24 to 36 or 48 people. I mean, that's a lot of people on that camp.
Reminds me of that time they went to Capitol Hill and had a big rally.
Why aren't they there, though?
Yeah.
But he is asked, Michael, in one word, why are you here? And here it is. Here he is. This is what what he's doing. Here, play it back just a little bit. Go.
In one word, why are you here?
In one word, why are you here?
I was on a left-wing show.
I'm cool, I'm famous. I was on a podcast.
I do what everybody wants to
gather attention from you.
I talked to you for about an hour. How about that? Are you a right-wing stooge?
Now, please, leave this campus. Get off. Please, we do not want you.
One word, okay. One word on here is... Can I use 3 words?
Three too many. Come on.
Giving voice to the voiceless. That's what. Really, I mean, have you ever stopped to consider if it's a fruitful intellectual environment for so many of your classmates to just be...
He's giving voice to the voiceless.
That didn't
Not
happen.
3 words.
That's why he brought a microphone.
It's 5 words. It's 5 words, by the way. It's 5 words.
5 words. But why isn't he giving the microphone to other people?
Yeah,
if that's what he's doing. It sounds like
He's doing reporting.
He's giving voice to himself, it seems like.
Yeah, by the voiceless, he means his Substack subscribers.
Exactly. But here is the real, here's the thing where I gained a lot of pride in my alma mater. Here is the question that really stumped Michael Tracy at out on I think it's Route 32 that he's actually standing on, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's Mohegan Ave. I'm not quite sure, but here it is.
As long as people want to stay out here.
So, can I make a point?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, sorry, we got a question over here.
How do you feel about Joe's statement on this matter?
Whose statement?
Joe.
Who's Joe?
Camel moment!
There you go. Giving voice to the voice.
It is like a Don DeLillo scene to have a guy who claims to be up there to do journalism, not take like a like a pen and put that thing in your hat, the little like slip of paper that you use for reporting.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you have a Wi-Fi
machine,
a karaoke machine with a cordless microphone and a speaker,
little antenna,
and you just shout at the people you're ostensibly reporting on.
I don't get that. I don't get what any of that is about.
That's journalism, baby.
And it's not like an impromptu type of thing. Like I came here for journalism, but wait a second, someone left a speaker over here and a microphone. I'm just going to pick that up in the course of my journalistic reportorial duties.
I'm thinking about like I.F. Stone like marching around with a megaphone or something.
That's what
happened to this man? Oh man.
Seymour Hersh was a really early pioneer in megaphone technology. He used to just walk around the Pentagon screaming into it.
I mean, I would love to, Tracy to show up at my kids' elementary school to give voice to the voiceless and said, "You children are being oppressed by wearing your mask."
He's giving voice to the voiceless by giving himself a voice.
That's right.
With the microphone.
I don't care about what's happening at daycare. I just think that the oppression here is outrageous.
Absolutely. I'm here to liberate you. This is, it's extraordinary. It really is extraordinary.
It's so amazing every time this happens to see someone make this shift, like just that arc, 2 years ago to today. And we've seen so many people, but it's out of, this is a guy who used to believe in science. He was a troll before, but he wasn't like a science denier. This is just total opportunism, obviously.
Well,
but it's amazing.
Remember when he doxed Lena Dunham?
Oh, yeah.
Naomi, did you hear that Glenn Greenwald is publicly advocating for Michael Tracy because he's a regular guy. He's got a girlfriend and she's delightful.
I missed this. Catch me up.
Yet. Well, we should get into why Sam is doing this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So after online liberal media.
It's Chevy Truck Month, and it's time to add the perfect accessories to your new Chevy. Make it bolder. Make it
figures, arguably like us, made Michael Tracy one of their most frequent targets for attack. Well, I don't guess we don't do that, really.
And he attacked us and we invited him on.
Exactly. He built up a large following, then got an ample Substack deal.
Deliciously ample.
It was a very odd deal. Odd deal. I am so enriched by this deal surrounding me. It's so much more than I could have ever hoped for.
It's a bodacious Substack deal.
A major book contract.
Wait, what?
Damn, these adjectives are...
Yeah, he really went to the thesaurus for this one.
And an even. Man. A delightful girlfriend.
That alone, break that down. Even.
This would have been Steven.
And they simply have no idea how widely despised they are. Let's just be clear here. If we were drawing a diagram, Sam or someone else mocks Michael Tracy, delightful woman sees this and says,
I wasn't
in any way interested in Michael Tracy before, but now, well, how do I get a piece of that?
Sam's single, so we got it. That's what we're doing. This is basically for Sam's love life.
Oh, Sam was telling us off air, sorry if this gets me fired, that he wants to steal Michael Tracy's delightful girl.
Well, no, that's not what it is. It is, I am hoping that Glenn and Michael attack me
so that you can be despised.
So that I can be despised and get a delightful girlfriend.
Which delightful girlfriend? We can't say.
I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
It's coming for you.
The ample, those adjectives, ample Substack deal. What was it? The large book contract.
Major book deal.
It's almost like that. I would write it that way if I was trying to be facetious and make fun of Michael Tracy.
Well, that's the weird part. And then there's this whole sort of the girlfriend thing seems to be a theme because then somebody asks them a question, which I think is sort of a rude question to ask somebody, unless they've but Glenn Greenwald put it out there in some interview where somebody asked him, are you
asked Tracy,
did they say, are you autistic, or they said on the spectrum?
Yeah, you're on the spectrum or something.
On the spectrum, which I really do think is
it's horrible.
It's just an inappropriate question. But he argued that he's not because he has a girlfriend.
Which is an interesting response.
Which I thought was also sort of weird because it never occurred to me that
A little bit of ableism.
I think there are plenty of autistic people in relationships.
That's
This is more about like, do women hate you because you're complete fucking assholes?
Well, I mean,
apparently not one.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with being on the spectrum, which he conflated. So
because he hears what he wants to hear. Opportunity. But it's also like how pathetic is he that they had to it's like Glenn was like looking for some compliments. Like when you have to compliment someone, you're like, they kind of suck. Oh, he has a girlfriend. He wears clean clothing.
Yeah. It's just so weird. First of all, it's horribly objectifying of the girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that her inspiration to go out even with Michael Tracy was a function of the attacks that he had online is just sort of like, look at these prizes he won.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. I heard when Glenn Greenwald defended Nazis, he said even Hitler had a girlfriend.
Good point.
Eva Braun was delightful.
And he loved dogs. He had an ample, thick dog.
Oh, all right. Juicy, I measure my personal success by admiring my collection of ample girlfriends. Mr. Microphone, that's what it was called, says Bahabab. And all right, two more. Sam Cedar, Simp, some good news for California. While turnout in LA, San Diego is lagging a bit. San Francisco turnout is high, indicating likely strong turnout for more liberal Northern California. While I personally don't think Newsom is the greatest, he's been okay overall, and the time to focus on getting him out is now the recall, rather the primaries coming up next year. Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, the final I am of the day. I have a girlfriend too. She goes to a different school in Canada. I met her at summer camp.
So this is what's going on right now.
The classic. I have a girlfriend. She's French. She comes twice a year. She visits.
She's actually busy modeling now.
Yeah,
French Riviera.
It kind of.
I'm supposed to go to Cannes, but I couldn't do it because I have to do my homework.
It's tough, but we love each other so much.
It kind of pairs nicely with the Nicki.
There we go. All right, so they're having the recall election. So this, how much? 57% reporting, I think it says. Yeah. And 67% no, don't recall Newsom, and 32% yes. Good. Excellent. All right, and everybody on the liberal side has to say, I'm no fan of Newsom, but, you know, he's kind of a blow-dried type, but you know what? I think some of his stunts have been pretty good. So, what more would you expect? All right, let's watch some headlines and then call it a night. This is broadcasting from the Stratospheric Code Laboratory. In the stratosphere, high, in the stratosphere at the top of the world's atmosphere, where it can skim around and be whatever time of day I want. I just fly around a couple thousand miles an hour or 1,000, you just go to the northern latitudes. Whatever speed you can maintain, I can do about 1,500 miles per hour. And I can just hang out right at midnight, right on the dark side of the earth. Perfect midnight. Which is well known as the best time to program. Okay. I really hope Democracy Now! Won't demonetize me on Twitch or something. Because I just want to get the headlines.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The United Nations warns 1 million Afghan children could face starvation without immediate international aid after the Taliban completed its sweeping takeover of Afghanistan last month. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres spoke at a high-level UN donor conference in Geneva Monday.
The people of Afghanistan need a lifeline. After decades of war, suffering and insecurity, they face perhaps their most perilous hour.
Monday's donor conference raised $1.2 billion in pledges for Afghanistan. The U.S., which spent over $2.3 trillion during its 20-year occupation and war with Afghanistan, pledged just $64 million in aid. On Capitol Hill, Secretary of State Antony Blinken defended the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, telling the House Foreign Affairs Committee no one in the Biden administration predicted the Afghan government would collapse while U.S. troops were still in Kabul. During his opening remarks Monday, Blinken said by remaining in Afghanistan, the U.S. military would have only delayed the Taliban's inevitable takeover.
There's no evidence that staying longer would have made the Afghan security forces or the Afghan government any more resilient or self-sustaining. If 20 years and hundreds of billions of dollars in support, equipment, and training did not suffice, why would another year, another 5, another 10?
Shit.
Blinken blamed the chaotic U.S. withdrawal on the Trump administration, saying, quote,
Who made the
inherited
deal?
A deadline. We did not inherit a plan, unquote.
Yeah, exactly.
At least two Republicans
also,
called on Blinken to resign. Blinken's testifying before the Senate Foreign Affairs Committee today.
He released 5,000 Taliban, which, I think is fine.
Across the United States.
Let's just face it, we're getting out of there, and we gave the government to the Taliban.
What
the fuck?
An average of
You're
more
an
than
idiot if you didn't
170,000 infections a day.
You're not
That's
paying
up from
attention,
last week,
rather.
when the Labor Day holiday led to a gap in data
if you thought
about
you
the
knew
U.S.
anything
outbreak.
and didn't realize
Here
that,
in New
it's
York,
like
nearly
you
a
haven't been
million
paying
public
attention.
school students returned to
Jesus.
classrooms Monday, most of them for the first time in a year and a half.
Lot of
Teachers are
core
required
problems.
to be vaccinated, though they have until September 27th to get their first shot. In Iowa, a federal judge on Monday issued a temporary restraining order blocking enforcement of a Republican-led ban on mask mandates in schools. The federal judge sided with parents of disabled students who argued their children were being denied equal access to education since they're at higher risk of COVID-19. In Florida, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis said he will fine city and county governments $5,000 per employee if they impose vaccine mandates. This, as new data shows, child COVID-19 deaths have doubled in Florida since students returned to school, many of them without mask requirements in place. Two prominent scientists who recently retired from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration are blasting the Biden administration's plans to approve third booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines to most U.S. residents. In a scathing critique,
I'm not that eager to take vaccines. I took my vaccine because I think as a social issue to protect our culture, our society, that it was worth the risk. Like if the Nazis were attacking and I was asked to go fight them. And it was a hell of a lot easier than fighting Nazis to go down and get the vaccine. I'm not eager. I waited. Actually, some people I knew and doctor, he's like, hey, you could go down here and get it early. I didn't want to do that. I just as soon let a bunch of people, other people try it out first. But when push comes to shove, it's like, yeah, I will go along with what scientifically is the best bet that we have. What if it's the wrong bet? I will take the experts' suggestion of the house bet over just whatever you heard on TikTok. That's just how it is.
Published in the British medical journal The Lancet, Philip Krause and Marion Gruber write, quote, current evidence does not appear to show a need for boosting in the general population, in which efficacy against severe disease remains high. The limited supply of these vaccines will save the most lives if made available to people who are at appreciable risk of serious disease and have not yet received any vaccine, they write. Meanwhile, More than 140 Nobel laureates and former heads of state have signed an open letter calling on Germany to support a waiver of intellectual property rights for COVID vaccines. Their call comes as a World Trade Organization panel is set to convene this week to discuss a patent waiver, nearly a year after India and South Africa proposed the move, which would require the unanimous consent of all 164 WTO member nations. A handful of countries, led by Germany and the United Kingdom, have so far refused to agree to a patent waiver. Joining the call for a people's vaccine is Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna.
This issue is so fundamental. If you believe that every human life has dignity and has moral worth, then we need to ensure that everyone has access to this vaccine. And a first step to getting people access to the vaccine is making sure that we're sharing the know-how of how they can build it.
Meanwhile, a new report contends the Biden administration could unilaterally share the recipe for Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine with the world. Public Citizen says the U.S. Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, known as BARDA, invested heavily in the development of Moderna's vaccine at taxpayer expense and has access to its entire vaccine recipe. That includes chemistry, manufacturing, and controls information that Public Citizen says could be shared with the World Health Organization. Hurricane Nicholas made landfall along the Texas Gulf Coast overnight as a Category 1 storm, bringing 75-mile-per-hour winds and a life-threatening storm surge of up to 5 feet. Forecasters say some parts of the region could see up to 20 inches of rain. There are widespread reports of power outages, with nearly 250,000 Houston area customers in the dark. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards declared a state of emergency, warning his state is still recovering from Hurricane Ida, which struck 2 weeks ago. Nearly 100,000 customers in Louisiana remain without power after Hurricane Ida. President Biden called Monday for urgent congressional action on the climate crisis during a tour of western states ravaged by wildfires. Biden visited the National Interagency Fire Center in Idaho before traveling on to Northern California, where he joined Governor Gavin Newsom for an aerial tour of damage from the Caldor fire. Afterwards, Biden called on Congress to pass his $3.5 trillion spending plan, which includes money for a civilian climate corps and other measures to combat the climate crisis.
These fires are blinking code red for our nation, but we can't ignore the reality that these wildfires are being supercharged by climate change.
Climate justice groups seized on Biden's remarks, demanding the White House declare a climate emergency. Later on Monday, President Biden joined a campaign rally for Governor Newsom, who faces a right-wing recall effort to remove him from office. Polls in the recall election close this evening at 8 p.m. California time. Democrats on the House Ways and Means Committee unveiled legislation Monday that would raise income taxes on the rich and some corporations to pay for most of President Biden's proposed $3.5 trillion spending bill. The tax measure would raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 26.5%. It would include a 3% surtax on U.S. residents making over $5 million a year.
I have an escort.
And it would restore the top rate of nearly 40% for high-income individuals and couples. The top capital gains rate would rise to just 25%, far short of the nearly 40% capital gains tax rate proposed by President Biden and supported by progressives. Speaking to PBS NewsHour, Senate Budget Committee Chair Bernie Sanders said he hoped the Senate would craft a more progressive tax plan.
At a time of massive and growing income and wealth inequality, when two people own more wealth than the bottom 40%, when the top 1% has more wealth than the bottom 92%. Now is the time to ask the wealthy and large corporations to pay their fair share so that we can begin to address the long neglected needs of working families in terms of our children, in terms of health care, in terms of the elderly, and by the way, in terms of addressing the existential threat of climate change.
On Sunday, West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin insisted again he would not support Biden's $3.5 trillion spending package, calling the price tag too high. Manchin's support is crucial in the Senate, where Democrats have a razor-thin majority. Meanwhile, New York progressive Congressmember Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez campaigned for progressive taxation on the red carpet at Monday's Metropolitan Museum of Art Gala in New York.
So I was watching a CNN report on this, and it was like they had somebody like, S.E. Cupp, I think it was. Oh, but she's going to a place with rich people. Tax the rich is not eat the rich. It's not kill the rich. It's like tax them. They'll still be rich. Saying tax the rich does not mean I want to destroy the rich and never hang out at their cool rich spots. No, you can be rich and say tax the rich. Durr. Right? Yes, obviously. Looks like we have 4 minutes left.
White gown featured the words "tax the rich" in prominent red letters along its back. Israeli forces launched a third consecutive night of attacks on the Gaza Strip Monday after rockets were fired toward Israel. The Israeli military claimed it had targeted at least 4 Hamas sites. Meanwhile, Al Jazeera reports a Hamas spokesperson said the assaults were in response to the escape last week of 6 Palestinians from an Israeli maximum security prison. 2 remain on the run. The Biden administration said Monday it'll withhold about 10% of the $1.3 billion in military aid the U.S. gives annually to Egypt, citing concerns over human rights violations. Nearly $1.2 billion of military assistance will continue to flow to Egypt, despite serious allegations of human rights abuses against the government of dictator U.S. ally Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. This comes as advocates are sounding the alarm on the worsening conditions faced by Egyptian activist and blogger Alaa Abdel Fattah, who was returned to prison in 2019, just 6 months after being freed following a 5-year sentence. Fattah reportedly told Egyptian media, quote, "My situation is horrible, and I won't be able to continue like this. Get me out of this prison. I will kill myself," he said. Al-Fattah was a key leader in Egypt's 2011 uprising. Back in the United States, Capitol Police arrested a man who parked near headquarters of the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C. Monday with a machete and bayonet in his pickup truck. Officers charged 44-year-old Donald Craighead of Oceanside, California, with possession of prohibited weapons. His truck was emblazoned with a swastika and other white supremacist symbols. The arrest came less than a month after Capitol Police arrested a North Carolina man outside the Library of Congress who claimed to have a bomb in his truck. Police are erecting a temporary fence around the Capitol ahead of a far-right pro-Trump so-called Justice for J6 rally planned for this Saturday. Apple has released an emergency software update to fix a security flaw in its iPhones and other products researchers found was being exploited by the Israeli-based NSO group to infect the devices with its Pegasus spyware. Over 1.65 billion Apple products in use around the globe are vulnerable to the spyware since at least March. Apple said vulnerable devices could be hacked by receiving a malicious PDF file that users didn't even have to click, known as a zero-click exploit. The flaw was discovered by the University of Toronto's Citizen Lab, which found the hack in the iPhone records of a Saudi political activist. Earlier this year, a massive data leak revealed Pegasus software had targeted the phones of thousands of journalists, activists, and political figures around the world for foreign governments and NSO group clients. And a coalition of left-leaning parties is poised to form a new government in Norway after a landslide win Monday that ousted a center-right coalition that's held power since 2013. Labour Party leader Jonas Gahr Støre will become Norway's next prime minister. His coalition includes the Green Party, which campaigned to shut down Norway's oil production within a few years. Støre says his government will focus on dramatic cuts to carbon dioxide emissions to help fight the climate crisis.
So we will cut 55% of our emissions. That's a huge transition. So we have to really get going during these first 4 years and do that in a tangible way.
And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report.
Nice. Yep, you guys should all watch Democracy Now! And you should also go look at the Twitch. I mean, I don't really care, but except for the thing is, go to the Discord. We need, with Forever Worth, by the way, did I think I added the link to Forever Wolf Films YouTube Injustice. So the thing is, we can't trust any single platform. So this is me going to multiple platforms. Now I'm at Twitch, so that's potentially like a place, if they kill me off YouTube, not gonna happen, but I don't think. Or go to the Discord, which is a place you can always, you don't have to come regularly to drop in and find out if somebody, and it might not just be me, it might be Barklord is banned and now he's only on BitBubble or whatever. Alright, so that's today's stream, and it was actually on today. It's actually only 11:51 Eastern time, so I'm actually in the technical today. Now, my today is based on, Jesus Christ, this fucking pen. My today is based on when I wake up and go to sleep. So it's after midnight and all that. But it really is 11:51, so it's technically 9:14 today. So my 9:14 stream is on 9:14. I hope all you haters and trolls, I don't really have haters. Well, I mean, I'm not saying some of you don't hate me. I wouldn't want to rob you of your own decision. I'm just saying I don't really feel like I have haters and trolls. I just thought it would be funny to say that. It's probably not. It's too soon, right? The internet is still too soon. Anyway, daily streams, right? Is that not responsible, day of me? I'm here for you every day because you need someone to help boost you up. So do I. We all do, right? That's my understanding. Besides, I have to watch the headlines, and I might as well watch them with you, right? You lovely people. So lovely. Hashtag not all. No, but most of you. All of you. I'm not thinking of you in particular when I say not all. I'm thinking of those other. I'm not really thinking of anybody. It's totally abstract. It's not really funny, but I feel so funny. All right. Cheers, everybody. We're just supposed to keep talking. Oh, that's right. If I don't, I need to do a little bit of a be back soon, or else I could cut off the end of my stream the way it works now. So let's just do this for a couple minutes, right? Dvorak String Quartet number 12, you guys. An American version. Antonian Dvorak. Sleep well, Earthlings. Have a good time.